Unveiling Jesus' ancestry, the shocking truth about his family tree that haunts us today. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the ancient hills of Jerusalem. Buried deep within the earth, hidden like a secret from the world, lay an astonishing discovery, a dusty, leather-bound tome that whispered tales of a bloodline shrouded in mystery. Historians would quake at the thought of the truth, but the truth was coming, and it would shake the very foundations of faith and history. This book wasn't just a record, it was a Pandora's box, ready to unleash a tide of curiosity and a host of questions that had haunted generations. Who were Jesus' ancestors? And what dark stories trailed their footsteps? Even the air felt different, as if it held its breath, waiting for the critical moment. The first clue. A name. The name of a forgotten apostle who vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of unsolved mysteries. The rumblings of ancient rumors suggested that his lineage entwined with royalty, a shadowy connection that sparked the imaginations of the most skeptical scholars. What if this hidden ancestry revealed something sinister lurking in the shadows? A family tree embellished with betrayals and hidden truths, each branch a testament to humanity's darkest tendencies. Could it all lead back to him? As whispers spread through the dusty halls of the archaeology department, the air buzzed with electric anticipation. Researchers exchanged nervous glances, their lips pressed tight in thought. Each rumor delved deeper, spiraling into the uncertainty that gripped their hearts. Would the world be ready to confront the familial ghosts rising from the depths of history? Echoes of gasps traveled through the floors as theories igniting an unquenchable thirst for answers. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But the night was just beginning. Questions danced in the air like fireflies. Would they uncover a history entwined with curses or miracles? And as the researchers continued pored over artifacts coated in centuries of dust, the final piece lurked at the back of their minds, waiting, threatening to change everything they thought they knew. A simple inscription, the bloodline that binds, as if it were a countdown. What awaited them on the other side? Would they escape the shadows, or would they find themselves ensnared, just like those before them? The truth was out there, and it would take more than just fearless hearts to unveil it. As darkness blanketed the city, the tension was palpable. Flickering lights cast long shadows, revealing faces filled with bewilderment and trepidation. The dusty tome lay open in front of the lead archaeologist, Dr. Miriam Levi. Her fingers trembled as she traced the faded letters of the inscription, the bloodline that binds. What could it mean? This critical key hung over them like a dark cloud ready to pour. Eager to unravel this mystery, Dr. Levi gathered her team in the cramped, dimly lit laboratory. Their goggles reflected the overhead lights like tiny stars, and the clipboard slid helplessly off the table, spilling notes and half-drunk coffee cups. Listen up, everyone. We're on the brink of uncovering something monumental. But we must tread carefully, she cautioned, her voice a mixture of excitement and dread. Each member of the team, excited yet afraid, nodded. Among them was Matt, a young intern, who had dedicated years to this project. He had grown up hearing ghost stories about Jesus' lineage, legends of highborn secrets, and whispered shadows. Now, they stood on the edge of those tales. Shouldn't we dig deeper into this mysterious apostle, he proposed, glancing nervously at his colleagues. His heart raced, imagination swirling with visions of undiscovered ruins and grave secrets waiting to be pried open. Dr. Levi leaned in closer, her senses ignited. Yes, but we know little. Whoever this apostle was left behind no remnants. She paused, the weight of the thought settling in. This could be dangerous. We must face the past without fear. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the main hall. Startled gasps erupted around the table, adrenaline surged through their veins. It sounded like glass breaking. Without a second thought, the team scrambled out of the lab, heartbeats pounding in unison like a war drum. Rounding the corner, they entered the exhibit area where shadows danced, wild movements blurring their vision. One of the glass displays lay shattered on the floor, its contents scattered like fallen stars, clay artifacts carelessly tossed aside, a tingle of fear rippling through the air. Matt bent low to inspect. Something caught his eye, a small, obsidian piece glinting in the dim light. "It looks like a fragment of an ancient seal," Matt murmured, his voice a low gasp. As he picked it up, every nerve in his body screamed, this was no ordinary find. Adorned with a crest completely unfamiliar, it had an urgency, a link whispering of secrets untold. "What does it say?" another team member asked, breathless with both fear and curiosity. Matt's fingers brushed over its jagged edges. "I'm not sure, but I think it's a family crest." His eyes widened as realization struck. This may lead us even closer to the mysterious apostle. The team collectively held their breath, excitement bubbling beneath the surface. But a creeping dread slithered in, too. What if the truth was darker than they imagined? What if this lineage carried curses far worse than they could comprehend? "We're exposing ourselves to forces we can't predict," Dr. Levi interjected, a chill running up her spine. "This could put us in more danger than we anticipated." With the fragment cradled in his palm, Matt felt a surge of determination. "We can't turn back now. We owe it to history to uncover this." He locked eyes with Dr. Levi, seeing his own fervor reflected. Yet, as they prepared to dive deeper into their discovery, a strange chill swept through the room, the air thickening with unspoken fears what awaited them in the shadows. Would the truth unlock a new understanding or unleash chaos upon the world? And as the air crackled with tension, a voice whispered through the darkness, "The bloodline has awakened." As the words echoed in the air, an icy sensation gripped the room. Matt felt his heart race in contradiction to the chill creeping across his skin. The whispered voice felt so close, yet no one was there. His eyes darted around, searching the shadows for any sign of movement. Dr. Levi's face blanched, her breath hitching in her throat. What was that?" one of the team members whispered, eyes wide with terror. The others exchanged terrified glances, each of them feeling the heavy weight of the unknown pressing down like a stone. Dr. Levi tightened her grip around a cluttered desk for support. "We need to stay focused." Her voice was almost steady, but the slightest quiver betrayed her nerves. "We don't know what we're dealing with." The uneasy murmurs of the team fell silent as they turned their attention back to the obsidian fragment. The glow from the overhead lights shifted as the shadows flickered, making the artifact shimmer ominously. In that moment, it looked alive, pulsating with secrets longing to be freed. "What if this is a curse?" Matt said suddenly, the words tumbling out before he could catch them. "What if we're not meant to uncover this?" A heavy silence lay upon them. Dr. Levi's jaw clenched as she leaned closer, studying the crest etched into the stone. "We can't let fear dictate our actions." Her voice lowered conspiratorially, drawing the team's full attention. "But we need to understand what we have here. This could change our understanding of history." As she spoke, an electrifying noise resonated through the halls, a shuddering sound as if the very air had been disturbed. Instinctively, they all jumped back, eyes darting to the doorway. Shadows flickered wildly across the walls, twisting into ominous forms that seemed to come alive. Matt's palms began to sweat as he felt their collective fear twist into something darker. The lights flickered violently, and in that moment, he felt an absolute certainty whatever lay beyond their discovery, it was not just history that was entwined with this bloodline, it was something much more dangerous. "Guys," he started, his voice a faint whisper, "we need to get out of here." But before anyone could react, a heavy, metallic sound echoed, reverberating like a heartbeat. The lab door slammed shut. Panic exploded like wildfire, electricity coursing through their veins. They pulled at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. "Dr. Levi. What do we do?" Someone yelled, their voice cracking under the weight of fear. We can't panic. We need to find a way to break down this door. She was resolute, but the wavering tone of her voice betrayed growing anxiety. As they banged against the door, the shadows danced wildly, and the whispered voice returned, creeping into Matt's thoughts as a low growl, almost mocking him. It echoed, taunting, "The bloodline is here. Are you ready for the truth?" With each thud against the door, the atmosphere thickened, the shadows creeping ever closer as fragments of ancient curses hung in the air. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught Matt's eye. Among the ruins sprawled across the floor lay an old, forgotten manuscript, half buried beneath shattered glass. He reached for it, compelled by an insatiable urge, ignoring the chaos around him. As he dusted off the cover, he felt the breath of history washing over him. The title "Awakening the Bloodline" threatened to pull him into its depths. But the true horror? A clandestine ritual, etched in ominous detail, spoke of invoking ancient lineages capable of both creation and destruction. What if they had awakened more than just the whispers of the past? The fragments of the truth danced dangerously close to the brink, teetering on the edge of chaos. As the door trembled under their force, Matt glanced back at Dr. Levi, the flickering lights illuminating the fear sliding down her spine. "Are we ready to face whatever's on the other side?" she asked, eyes locked onto his, the challenge hanging heavy. And in that moment, as the chant echoed louder and the shadows stirred behind them, he realized they were not just archaeologists. Anymore they had become unwitting participants in an ancient awakening that promised to change everything. What lay beyond the door? Was it history or horror waiting for them? The air crackled with foreboding as they prepared themselves for the unveiling. The darkness swirled around them, whispering secrets that slipped through their fingers like smoke. Matt clutched the manuscript tightly, its pages crackling under his panicked grip. An energy surged within him, igniting a spark of determination. He scanned the room, eyes darting from the obsidian fragment to his team, each soul tethered by fear, yet still anchored by shared purpose. "Dr. Levi!" he shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. "What does it say? Can it help us?" She took a step closer, her fingers trembling as she reached out for the aged pages. "It's a guide," she mumbled, her face pale. The glyphs on the manuscript seemed to pulse with their own lifeblood. "But it's not just for knowledge. It's a path, a way to confront what we've unearthed." Another resounding thud on the door jolted them back, and the groans of wood echoed like an ominous heartbeat. Sweat trickled down Matt's brow as he felt the shadows seeping in, filling laden spaces with dread. The voice in the air now rose a notch, reveling in the tumult. "Awaken their blood, awaken the truth," it hissed, wrapping around his senses like a vice. "Focus!" Dr. Levi snapped, brushing past fear for a moment. In her eyes, a flicker of old resolve sparked alive. "We need to perform this ritual. If we can call forth whatever rests in that stone, we may find a way out. What if it only opens the door to something worse?" Someone whimpered, glancing nervously at the walls pressed tightly against them, shadows flickering in the periphery. "We have to take that risk." Dr. Levi's voice cut through the room like a knife. "Staying here only invites whatever curse lingers." Matt felt a mix of fear and resolve. Could they manipulate something so ancient, so powerful? His mind wrestled with the implications, torn between the promise of understanding and the terror of awakening. As Dr. Levi began to sift through the manuscript, searching for the words of power, Matt's heart raced. He could almost feel an energy build in the air around them, something raw, uncontained. The others clung to the desk, sending furtive glances at the door as dread knifed through silence. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into near darkness. An electrical surge sparked against the walls, colorful bursts illuminating terrified faces before plunging them back into the void. "Dr. Levi!" Matt urged, panic cracking his voice. "Now!" As if fueled by the urgency in his tone, she found the passage, her finger tracing the incantation. "We need to chant together. It requires our voices, our faith in the bloodline. What if it asks for sacrifices? One team member whispered, fear etching deeper lines across their brows. Whatever awaits, we do this together. For knowledge and survival. Dr. Levi asserted, grounding the room's energy. Matt felt the gravity of her words settle over him. For knowledge and survival. He echoed, and others soon followed, forming a spine of collective will. They began to chant, voices trembling in unison, lifting and weaving through the air like a tapestry of hope. It felt foreign yet beckoned, as if the very energy around them hummed in response. Awakening of the blood. They cried as shadows looked to twist around them, reaching towards the light of their voices. The door trembled anew, rattling violently against the frame. Through the chaos, a bright light spilled from the obsidian fragment, casting jagged shadows that danced in horrific shapes. A deafening roar filled the space, shoving against their bodies like a shockwave. Instinctively, Matt shielded his eyes, heart pounding as the shadows converged, threatening to swallow them whole. In the midst of it all, he caught a fleeting glimpse of movement through the light. A figure. A shadow. Memories of a lineage long forgotten. Just as suddenly, it extinguished, plunging them back into silence. The air felt charged, vibrant energy swirling around them. Did it work? Someone breathed, peering into the vast darkness where the manuscript glowed dully. Dr. Levi slowly opened her eyes, meeting Matt's gaze, a mixture of awe and dread. Washing over her features. I don't know. But something has been awakened. And just as hope began to flicker alive, a low growl echoed through the walls, vibrating deep in their bones, whispering a truth far darker than they were prepared to face. What have we done? Matt asked, his voice barely a whisper as the shadows began to shift with purpose again. Outside the door, the very structure of the world trembled. They were caught between what they had unleashed and the unyielding desire to uncover the truth, a truth ready to claim its power. What were they truly summoning? The shadows quivered, hinting at the horrors that lay ahead, waiting patiently for the moment of reckoning. The air thickened, a palpable tension coiling around each of them like a serpent ready to strike. Matt's pulse thudded in his ears, drowning out the low growl that seemed to emanate from every dark corner of the room. The thrill of unknown power loomed heavy above them, a crown of dread that quickened their breaths. Dr. Levi stood frozen, eyes flaring wide as she scanned the shadows. Everyone, stay close. We need to maintain our focus. Her voice was sharp as glass, cutting through the encroaching chaos. A shadow flickered in the corner of Matt's vision, and he turned, heart racing. The room felt alive. Not merely filled with air and people, but thrumming with energy that threatened to fracture. What did we awaken? He dared to ask, but no one had an answer. Another tremor jolted the door, the wood creaking ominously. Alongside this, the growl crescendoed, a deep, primal sound that rippled through their bones. Goosebumps prickled across his skin, radiating from his core, expanding outwards in a mix of fear and anticipation. The manuscript lay open, the glyphs appearing to shimmer with an eerie glow, as if responding to the summoning. We have to channel this energy. It's fighting against us, it wants to break free. Dr. Levi's voice now resonated with a frantic urgency, her hands pulsating with newfound purpose. Matt sensed that they had crossed an invisible line, a threshold they could never return from. What if it needs something more? Something from us? The thought slipped out before he could choke it back. The tension in the room thickened, faces turning to him in a mix of fear and hesitation. What do you mean? Sarah whispered, her voice small and quivering, eyes darting to the door. If it's tied to our blood, what if it wants a sacrifice? The words hung heavy in the air. Dr. Levi's brow furrowed, but the shadowy growl answered for her, cutting through her hesitation. A wave of cool air washed over them, followed by heat that felt like the brush of a predator's breath. Then let us claim it. Matt shouted, a surge of reckless bravery that surprised even him. If it demands blood, let's offer it knowledge instead. We're not here to give in to fear. The words resonated again through the group, imbuing them with a sudden spark. With trembling voices, they began to chant anew, weaving their declarations into the very fabric of the air. Knowledge and unity. We are strong. We are the bloodline. Each syllable rang loud, beholding power, and surprise rippled through them as the shadows stiffened. But in the midst of their chant, Dr. Levi suddenly paused, her eyes narrowing as if perceiving something unseen. "Wait!" she cried. "The manuscript, it's shifting." The pages fluttered violently, revealing illustrations that seemed to animate beneath their very eyes. Images swarmed the pages, faces twisted in anguish, eyes glowing with a dreadful knowledge. Matt leaned closer, horror clawing up his throat. Was that? Yes, it was, a man he recognized, his face hauntingly familiar, eyes so deep they seemed to swallow light. "No way," Matt gasped, a rush of cold washing over him. "That's him, Jesus." The team was mesmerized, voices faltering as a cascade of questions flooded their minds. If this was true, what did it mean for them? What dark legacy were they inheriting? "Shift your focus," Dr. Levi called breathlessly. "We cannot lose sight of the ritual." But shadows writhed, the growling deepening as images split and revealed something darker, a lineage that stretched back through time, marred by blood and sacrifice. Matt felt as if he were spiraling into an abyss. The truth, it's connected to us. He knew it. This wasn't merely history, this was their heritage. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, stepping into the dim light. Cloaked in whispers, it had no face, yet Matt felt its eyes on him, penetrating through the dark. The growl transformed into a rumble, sounding like a mockery of laughter. They had indeed summoned something, but now, that something was staring back, full of ancient wrath. "What have we awakened?" Sarah hissed, clutching Matt's arm. Her warmth vanishing beneath fear. The shadows deepened around them, melding with that shapeless figure, as clarity and chaos collided. Matt stepped back, heart pounding, dread carving a path down his spine. Then, the walls throbbed as though the very foundation struggled against a flood. A single sentence clawed its way from the depths of Matt's mind and burst forth into the chaos, echoing eerily, "We must confront it before it decides to take back what was never ours to claim." The shadow swayed, twisting its form into something both dreadful and captivating. As if in answer, it began to speak, hissed words curling around their fears like vine. "Your blood remembers, but do you remember the truth?" The air crackled with tension, vibrating like a taut string on the verge of snapping. Matt felt the shadow's presence pressing in around them, a dense fog of dread that blurred the edges of his sanity. Dr. Levi's frantic commands barely cut through the thick, pulsating gloom. "We need to maintain our focus," she shouted again, her voice strained, carving through the enveloping darkness like a knife, yet no one seemed capable of thinking beyond the primal fear that wrapped itself around their hearts. The grotesque figure loomed larger, swirling in an ethereal dance, tangible and yet fluid, evoking both a sense of power and profound terror. Its hissing voice slithered into their minds, unearthing buried fears and insecurities. "Your blood remembers," it echoed, the sinister cadence crawling under Matt's skin. Memories that didn't belong to him began to surface, colors and sounds muddled, swirling like an autumn leaf caught in a storm. He felt a rush of disorientation, as if he were losing himself in the very essence of the dark figure's power. "You can't control it," Sarah screamed, but the noise felt swallowed whole, dissipating into the shadows. The figure seemed to grow more substantial, the echo of its words merging with Matt's own hyped adrenaline. "No." Dr. Levi snapped back, voice fierce but laced with uncertainty. "We have to remember who we are. This is our moment. We are the bloodline, the keepers of knowledge." With every word she spoke, the shadows thickened. The manuscript vibrated, and the glyphs glowed brighter, pulsating to a rhythm that felt alive. The air shimmered, and Matt could feel his bones vibrating now, an eerie hum passing through him. "Knowledge and unity," they shouted together, voices rising above the din. But doubt clawed at Matt's heart, and he wondered if they were truly wielding power or simply birthing a nightmare. The shadow figure contorted, screeching a chilling sound that shook the room. Images splashed onto the pages of the manuscript, revealing not just faces, but visions, dark glimpses of histories littered with blood, tears, and sacrifice. Murky centuries passed before him, echoes of ancient whispers swaying in the breeze of the present. "Confront it!" he yelled, but even he could hear the tremor in his voice. Then, just as Matt felt he'd reach a breaking point, the focus of the figure sharpened, each feature suddenly coalesced into something horrifying yet familiar. It morphed into a visage that held the weight of generations, a twisted reflection of everything they had sought to understand. "What do you want from us?" he yelled, despair washing over him as he stepped forward, drawn like a moth to a flame. "Do you not seek the truth?" Its voice oscillated, reverberating through the air like a death knell. "To understand what lies in your blood?" Golden tendrils of light flared, pouring from the manuscript, wrapping around them like a cocoon of fate. The intensity shot through the group, forcing them to shut their eyes against the light. Yet Matt, driven by an inexplicable urge, kept his open wide, determined to face the specter before him. The light flickered, spilling forth revelations that burned through his mind. "You want our pain," he breathed, the realization hitting him like a wake-up call, "our regrets, our history. Your scars make you worthy," the figure hissed, its voice both unsettling and serene. "Only in facing your lineage can you hope to unlock the truth." What truth? The question echoed ominously in his brain. In the depths of his heart, he felt the pull of generations, the weight of secrets and lies folding into a tapestry that defined his existence. "We can't let it take control," Sarah muttered, but panic consumed her voice. Suddenly, a resonating crack pierced through the chaos, and the room trembled as if the very foundation had been shaken by their actions. Dr. Levi's voice cut through the cacophony as she shouted, "Focus. We need to stand united." But even as she spoke, Matt could feel the shadows shifting around him, morphing into a living entity with its own will. Something profound was about to unravel, and with it, their futures hung in a delicate balance. "Do you dare face the truth that birthed you?" The figure howled, the shadows swirling tighter. Matt's breath quickened, adrenaline coursing through him, as uncertainty twisted deep within his chest. Then, before he could form a response, the room exploded with light and sound, blinding and deafening, and all he could think was this the moment they would either reclaim their legacy or doom themselves to a darkness they could never escape. Matt's heart pounded against his ribcage, the light enveloping him in a cocoon that felt both warm and agonizingly hot. The shadows around him twisted, howling in a cacophony of despair and rage. He squeezed his eyes shut, but even behind closed lids, the glow seeped through, its energy pulsing through his very soul. "Stay with me." Dr. Levi's voice broke through the chaos, a fragile thread that cut through the overwhelming fear. He grasped it like a lifeline, but doubt threatened to drag him under. What if this light revealed the darkness hidden in their bloodlines? "Don't let it in," Sarah cried out, her voice wavering. Matt could almost hear the tremor in her knees. He reached for her, feeling for any tangible bond through this inexplicable storm. The shadows then responded, writhing like a living creature. They spiraled around him, a thick, suffocating fog that thrust his senses into turmoil. He gasped as memories surged forth, images flickering like a broken film reel, a dying ancestor, blood spilled on ancient lands, whispered prayers lost to the wind. "Unlock the truth," the figure cooed, its tone now syrupy sweet yet laced with venom. "Face your shadows." Before he could respond, visions poured into his mind, struggles across generations, love and betrayal intertwined, a lineage marked by bloodshed. He stumbled back against an invisible wall, trying to shield himself from the flood of emotions crashing down like waves. Each vision felt like a dagger, carving into his understanding of who he was. "Remember who you are." Dr. Levi rallied against the tide. "This is our fight." The intensity pulsed again, drawing forth his instincts, blurring the line between heroism and desperation. But was it enough? The figure laughed, a low, rumbling sound that echoed through the room and chilled him to the bone. "Your lineage is tainted, just as mine. You are not here to reclaim, you are here to receive your birthright." It stepped forward, the shadows morphing around Matt like a noose. Matt's breath hitched, panic flooding his veins as he felt the weight of the abyss pulling him closer. "What do you mean?" He managed to stammer, desperation tainting his words. "Do you not wish to know your legacy? To understand the blood that runs within you?" The figure's face was now clearer, a grotesque mosaic of dread and familiarity. "Your ancestors beckon you. They are waiting." The walls around them pulsed like a heartbeat, energy crackling between them and the figure. He could feel his friend's presence, yet the shadows whispered secrets that twisted their resolve. A lifetime of heritage and shame lay at their feet, threatening to bury them alive. "Don't listen. Fight back!" Sarah shouted, a spark of courage igniting in her voice. The others echoed her, their combined wills forging a fragile barrier against the darkness. But with each shout, Matt felt the connection flickering like a faulty light bulb. Underneath the growing weight of despair, suddenly, the room shifted again, the energy reaching a boiling point before collapsing in on itself. A silence stretched thin, suffocating. Matt could see it an opening, a spiral leading into the very depths of their legacy, inviting, yet repulsive. The figure grinned wider, revealing sharp teeth that glimmered with malice. "You can't turn back now. The truth is waiting. Are you ready to face it?" The pulse of the manuscript dimmed, but it still resonated within him, throbbing in sync with his frantic heartbeat. As he stood at the precipice, uncertainty clutched at his throat. Matt glanced at his friends, their faces reflecting fear and determination. He took a deep breath, feeling the cold grip of dread begin to retreat against a flicker of hope. Was it worth it? Would they pay the ultimate price for truth? But the moment hung heavy in the air, an undefined pause before an inevitable plunge. "What if we fail?" Matt breathed, as silence slipped once more into chaos. And then, the shadows erupted. The truth surged forward, twisting their fates. Would they rise, or would the revelations of the past consume them all? As the shadows writhed and danced, Matt felt a surge of energy coursing through him, like a jolt of electricity. The opening before him shimmered, dark and enticing, an abyss that beckoned with promises of revelation and dread. His heart raced, each throbbing beat echoing the chaos around him. "Don't go in," Sarah cried, her voice thin and frantic. An undeniable instinct told him she was right, yet something deeper urged him forward. The figure awaited, its face now morphing between familiar and grotesque, a sickening blend of affection and menace. "Your fate lies within. You were chosen, Matt," it whispered, its voice smooth, like silk sliding over glass. "Everything you've ever wanted is just a step away. Stop. We're not puppets for you to play with." Dr. Levi shouted, standing firm, hands raised in defiance. But the shadows blazed with life, engulfing them, pressing against their bodies like an oppressive weight. Suddenly, the black tendrils twisted violently, revealing glimpses of their pasts that were meant to stay buried. Matt saw his father, tears stained by grief. He saw Sarah, a child in the garden, her laughter ringing out, but abruptly cut off, leaving only a heavy silence. Those memories, wrapped in longing and pain, pressed down on him. "Don't succumb to them." Levi's voice struck through, rallying their focus. "We're stronger together." Matt grasped Sarah's hand, threading fingers like lifelines amidst the chaos. As he turned away from the swirling visions, something inside him trembled with determination. "We can't let this consume us," he shouted, his voice rising above the dark whispers that clamored for their surrender. Visions of their families tangled in a web of curse and fate were spinning faster, almost hypnotic, each one a haunting reminder of the shadows within them. "Remember who you are. We're more than just this lineage." Sarah shouted back, her resolve striking a match against the cold darkness. Just as doubt clawed back into his heart, a flash surged through the room. A blinding light erupted from within the manuscript, washing over them like a cleansing flood, dispelling the shadows momentarily. "Now," Dr. Levi urged, gripping the manuscript tightly, "focus on the light. Focus on hope. With eyes wide, Matt channeled everything he had into that glow. He imagined it spreading, tearing apart the darkness, illuminating the truth hidden beneath. Energy vibrated within him, lifting the weight from his chest. He could feel it, a shared connection to something greater than themselves, yet, in that moment of exuberating hope, the figure surged forward, unfurling the shadows like a cloak. You think you can escape? Know this: the truth you seek has teeth, and it bites back. The moment froze. A chill wrapped around Matt like a vice. The light flickered, dimming as the shadows rushed in, ready to swallow it whole. In a desperate bid, he lunged toward the manuscript, reaching for the whispers of light. But as he did, a sharp pain pierced his side that he gasped, eyes darting to the source. Something cold and solid lodged there, the embodiment of dread, echoing the ancient scars of his lineage, a dagger, ornate and dark, glimmering with the same malevolence as the figure watching him with glee, eyes glinting like black diamonds. Welcome to the family, Matt, it hissed, the shadows curling tighter around them. Now, let us see what you're really made of. Matt staggered as the world blurred. Every breath felt heavier, each second longer. The abyss loomed. In that moment, the fight surged anew, yet the real battle had only just begun. Could they overcome the legacy threatening to devour them, or had they truly sealed their fates? The air went still, tension taut as a string ready to snap. What would the shadows reveal next? The shadows coiled tighter around Matt, suffocating his thoughts. Darkness pulsed, every heartbeat echoing the lingering sting from the dagger buried in his side. It felt almost alive. Panic flooded him. Matt. Sarah's voice was laced with fear. She grabbed at him, her grip frantic. But the shadows writhed, pulling her back. I want to let go. I can't. The figure laughed, a sound slick and sour that fired up Matt's defiance. You think you can escape the bloodline? This is your heritage. Embrace it. A fire ignited inside him, pushing against the pain and the shadows. No. He shouted, voice raw. We can't let this define us. The words were a lifeline, a tether to reality through the haze of his fears. Doctor. Levi stepped forward, fighting against the oppressive darkness. Together. We hold the strength of our pasts. But we shape our own fates. The words resonated, striking at the heart of the tumultuous sea of memories that threatened to drown them. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled, as if the very air had shifted. Matt felt it, an opening, a moment's haven. Focus on the light. Hold on to each other. Levi's urgency pierced through the chaos that he grasped Sarah's hand tightly, channeling every ounce of courage into their joined palms. The glow of the manuscript pulsed, dim but unwavering. It was a flicker in the dark, they just had to reignite it. Then came the whispers, slithering insidiously, recounting the tragedies tied to their bloodlines. Your ancestors failed. You will too, the figure taunted, its voice a haunting melody rooted in despair. Stop it. You have no power over us. Sarah screamed, straining against the blackness that tried to pull her under. Matt willed himself not to buckle under the weight of forgotten sorrows. We're not our pasts. He shouted defiantly. We are strength. We fight. That mantra raged in his mind, and slowly the glimmer from the manuscript began to grow, brightening against the encroaching dark. The dagger's coldness was still there, but pain morphed into a memory, not a curse, but a part of him that he could confront and conquer. Together, they pressed forward as the shadows surged against them, twisting and snapping like living tendrils. Levi bore down into the manuscript, voice steady and powerful, guiding them to unite their wills. Light your collective purpose. Draw on each other as strength. The glow erupted, swirling around them, casting the depths of the chaos in a radiant hue. The shadows shrieked, writhing and thrashing like panicked creatures. The figure writhed, its familiar face twisting into grotesque forms that screamed their names, ancestors lost to madness, burdens that shrouded generations. A surge of warmth enveloped them. Matt could see glimpses of hope, a future unshackled from the chains of despair. He pulled Sarah closer, renewed fire igniting their connection. This is our legacy, not theirs. Yours is a false prophecy. The figure screamed, its voice straining against the light. You will pay for turning against what you are. Shards of light erupted from within, piercing the shadows further. Each burst ignited memories of joy and love, the laughter of families untainted by darkness. Relief washed over them, the burdens breaking apart like fragile glass, but as the shadows dissipated, a perpetual shroud hung just beyond, mocking their success, leaving doubt poised to strike again. Then, the figure hissed, as it retreated into the depths, "You shall face the legacy that wakes within. Prepare yourselves, for this is only the beginning." As the last threads of darkness faded, a silence fell. The promise of something worse laced through the stillness like a bitter scent. Matt stared into the void, heart pounding. The battle had just begun. What awaited them in the shadows beyond was still cloaked in mystery. Would they truly be free, or was there yet more horror to uncover? The shadows receded, but a tangible silence settled, heavy as if the world were holding its breath. The manuscript lay between them, their connection to the truth and perhaps, the last shield against the darkness that once engulfed them. Relief washed over Matt, mingling with disbelief. "Is it over?" Sarah's voice trembled as she squeezed his hand, pulling him back from the edge of uncertainty. Her eyes searched his, catching the remnants of fear too familiar. "I don't know," Matt replied, slowly rising to his feet. The dagger still pulsed with a sickening ache at his side, a reminder of their perilous confrontation. He stared into the space where the figure vanished, heart still pounding, breath shallow. Dr. Levi was already on her feet, eyes blazing with determination. "We can't let our guards down. This may have been a battle, but the war is far from over. Whatever we awakened won't rest so easily." Each team member nodded, their expressions reflecting shared resolve. They stood together, a fragile assembly of courage piecing together hope. "Let us gather our findings. There's more than just the truth we discovered," Levi stated, directing them with newfound purpose. "We need to understand the implications of what we faced tonight. These stories belong to us now. They demand recognition." Together, they collected the scattered remnants of ancient artifacts, shadows of the past mingling with their present. The manuscript glowed softly among the debris, drawing their attention back as if beckoning them closer. Matt gingerly picked it up, feeling that searing connection pulse through him once more. "This is more than a family tree," he murmured, tracing the intricate glyphs with trembling fingers. "It carries the weight of our legacies. We weren't chosen to be mere vessels for the past, we're here to reshape it," Sarah said, her voice steadying. Matt felt a warmth spread through him at her words, the ache of the dagger easing ever so slightly beneath his skin. They gathered around the manuscript, and Dr. Levi opened it wide, facing each of them with a fierce gaze. "This is an awakening not just of bloodlines but of the very spirit that drives us. Together, we face the truth of who we are, what we can become. Each loss, each scar holds a lesson. We can reclaim our narrative. There's strength in unity." Matt drew in a deep breath, courage swelling within him as their voices merged into one affirming their resolve, an oath etched in the fabric of their lives. "We are more than the shadows." With each shout of conviction, the manuscript's energy flickered, radiating warmth that filled their chest with renewed hope. That failed legacy turned on itself, giving way to light, each whisper of past pain transforming into strength. Suddenly, the air shifted again, and there, standing at the threshold of the door, a silhouette loomed, a figure bathed in light, looking eerily familiar. Matt squinted, heart racing, chills racing along his spine. It was him, their ancestors. Eyes shimmering with wisdom and compassion. Lips curling into knowing smiles. "Will you reckon with our truth?" The voice fluidly echoed, deep but serene. "Your voices have awakened long-lost bravery. Breathe with us. Understand that lineage holds power, both detrimental and divine." For a moment, Matt felt the world around him tilt. Every whispered regret, every familial story flooded back in vivid recall, each echoing heartbeat reminding him of his significance. "We will," Matt replied, emboldened. The team rallied around him. They understood, finally, they had agency. No more isolation or fear, they were threaded together by a bloodline rich with stories, pain, and lessons. The figure nodded, light blooming around them. "Then go forth. Unearth the truth, unite with purpose, transform darkness into wisdom." As the figure faded, the shadows shrank once and for all, leaving behind not void but clarity. They stepped into the light of knowledge, together, illuminated with the radiant energy forged by resilience. Matt turned to his friends, sincerity written across their faces. "We've only just begun." And as they walked through those mighty doors, hearts aligned with purpose, a new dawn broke outside, unraveling countless tales waiting to be told, a journey urging them to rise and reclaim their legacy. With the weight of history now resting gently on their shoulders, they stepped forward, ready to carve their truths within the very veins of time. Now, it's your turn to shape the story. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales that unfold. Smash the like button now to fuel the algorithm's hunger. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this jaw-dropping ending, and most importantly, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to join this unforgettable journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.